Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John and Jenna with Flippin' Ain't Easy. And very excited today. We have a special guest. And like I said, I'm trying to introduce you guys to newer content creators. Many of you have heard of Josh Galt.
He's not so new.
No, he's not so new, but he's blown up lately because of the really good content that he puts out, really relevant content, I guess I'd say. A lot of channels, and I mean, I don't know if I can even say that I've jumped into a lot of the technical things as well as Josh has, but it does create very good discussions because, as your business, if you're a business owner on eBay or online selling for that matter, you need to be in tune with what's happening. It's so much more than hitting list on, on eBay and then just going to the next item. You got to be in tune with things that are changing and, how that affects you. And I think a lot of people are finding out, I think Josh said it was like the 1st of April was the date that he had discovered that there's just a lot of changes that had an effect on his business. And a lot of you have echoed on his live streams that you were finding that as well. So without any further ado, I'm not going to go on my bandwagon here. I do want to just go ahead and let him come on in and welcome Josh to the channel.
Hey, Josh.
How's it going? How have you all been? I want to get that out of the way for you, Jenna.
Yes. We have been good.
Perfect.
Awesome. So how you been? How you been? Everything okay?
Everything has been well. Sales have been picking up a little bit, which I kind of touched upon today for me, but that doesn't seem to be consensus. I honestly don't think it's anything I've done outside of the norm. So, which again leads me to think that there are some things going on with eBay, and I don't know if you want to talk about that at some point, but
always.
Yeah. How about you? Is that something you can kind of corroborate? Or are you seeing that as well? Or are you?
Well, here's the deal. Last Thursday was just a bad day, $110 day, had no sales, and it's really a mirror image of today. And went in and did my end item sell similar for my little under 200 item store, and it caused Friday a $440 day, $470 day on Saturday, and $1,070 on Sunday. So it caused the weekend. I believe it was a big factor in the weekend doing well. Of course, I'm adding new items, and then Monday again we're back to the $116 day. Tuesday 240. Yesterday 430, and then again today no sales all day. I went in, did the end item sell similar, had $175 in sales about 45 minutes to an hour after.
So can I ask you a question just for context? Are you noticing on the bad days that you're not getting as many watchers, you're not getting as much offers, you're not getting as much interaction on the platform? For example, people reaching out to you, asking questions about items?
Well, no, actually, I'm getting interaction with offers to watchers, and I am getting offers every so often. But, like for instance, a week ago today, I had my best day for page views, but only had $110 in sales.
Right.
I mean, we're talking out the park, like
right.
twice the number of page views as a regular average day. But if you look at my impressions, they were about average. And so I'm looking at all these days, and I could not pinpoint just by looking at impressions what days would be the worst. I mean, I'm looking at this day. I probably didn't sell very many, but it looks like it was an average day. So I think the traffic is broken. I don't know if it's accurate at all. And, they're sitting here telling me I'm down 22% in impressions. And then my sales are down like, I think it's like 12% or something like that for month over month. So if eBay's comparing the last 30 days with the 30-day period prior, my sales are down actually 14%. As I look at this right now. So instead of a $14,000 month, I'm at 12.6.
So, this is one of my big issues with what's going on. And I don't know, we can get into the search engine if you want a little bit later, but it's the inconsistency in the data, or data as Lag would ask me to say. It's the inconsistency. So it's hard to, in my opinion, it's very hard to navigate, to operate strategically if you're not getting good data from the platform. So like you're saying, you're getting good interaction, getting good traffic, but bad sales. Right. I've had this issue throughout the summer. I've had issues since April 1st. I had problems with global shipping. I had problems with people not being able to pay, glitches, visibility issues. I think that's has been echoed by a lot of people in the community, especially our community, where you have a lot of larger sellers. And by that our, I mean you, me, and Jenna. A lot of the people in here are pretty, they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 10 or 20 years, and they're experiencing a lot of issues.
Right.
So I don't know. There are pivots. We can talk about the pivots if you want. I don't know if you want to talk about pivots that you've made in your own business, because I know you've made a few.
Right. Well, I definitely want to talk about the problems that we're seeing. I know you covered that a lot on your channel, but briefly, the problems that we're seeing. And really, I want to end the show on what are we doing about it? You know, we could sit here, we can complain, and I don't want these to come. Your channel isn't one that really, in my opinion, comes off as complaining. I can get a little complainy a little bit, but the intention isn't that I'm complaining. It's more of identifying the problems, putting it out there, seeing if other people are experiencing the same type of issues, and then you know, what do we do about it? It's more of it doesn't do any good to identify a problem if you're not going to take action. So what actions are we going to do? Because we're getting into Q4 here. We're literally 10 days away from Q4, and many are complaining about slow sales. Mine are getting kind of weird. I can't really call them slow, but I don't want to go into Q4 with the same kind of activity, especially if I don't have a plan. So that's, you know,
if I could get the eBay tech lead or whoever in front of me, and I could ask them one question, it would be this: is the search engine under construction and they're fixing it right now, or is this the new way? Because I think that would answer the question. If it's under construction, then let's not change anything. Do everything the way we're doing it, and then it will get better and we'll be off to the races. But if this is the new way, then we may have to pivot. Maybe me selling things that are kind of niche or, like, you know, in that sort of category, if they're not getting visibility, then maybe I want to move to a higher sell-through rate item, or just something that moves quicker. And I mean, I'm like a half decent size, but not huge. But that gets me thinking about people who sell niche items like motorcycle parts, or large stores like that. Maybe they sell lighting. So that stuff doesn't have a high sell-through rate. So I'm sure they're sitting there with employees and big warehouse and everything else thinking, what do I do now? Do I pivot? Do I keep going? I'm noticing a drastic drop off. So and that's like, if they could just give us that piece of meat, then we could figure out what to do on our own.
Right. And I know that sales are happening on the site, guys. Sales are happening. Why is it that one seller is having great success? Why did I have a good summer and others are not? You know, that's the question. But I think well, a couple things. I think number one, the whole idea of eBay communicating anything like this to us, that ship sailed. I think with everything that's transpired in the last couple weeks, I think you know, they're going to handle us sellers in any way, shape, or form with kid gloves, and they're not going to approach us. And even like an eBay Open that's going to happen next week, you approach an eBay representative, and they're not going to give you a concrete answer. Yeah. So I think we have to move forward trying to figure this out on our own, and that's kind of the way it's been anyway. Yes. I think it's before we can figure out what's going on, we got to kind of understand what the problems are, what some of the pain points are. So what are we dealing with? Now, I tried to replicate this whole thing on my main account to go in and do searches for my items. Okay. And every single time I found my item in search on my main store. So that's why I'm getting sales, because people are finding my items. So, the changes, and now we've kind of discussed this backstage, you noticed a change around April-ish, these white papers. If someone wants to put a link in the chat for the white papers, I don't know if they have access to it, but it's really hard to read, to understand. And I even had ChatGPT try to break down what the heck it's talking about. And it did a pretty decent job. And I'm going to try to explain. So search used to be where you just type in, you know, whatever you're looking for, and eBay would do its best job to try to find those words and to match it with the current listing that's being sold with a number of factors: account health, price, listing quality, all these things, right? Promoted listings now, promoted rates. And now it's, when you have an item, it's categorizing each item. It's assigning its own just number, this random number, not your item number for the listing, but something more complex than that. And it's putting it on, think of a map, right? It's putting it on a map, like red shirt. And it puts it up here by red shirt. So someone puts a Nike red polo shirt. So it has another listing somewhere in that vicinity. And so when someone, and all these billions of listings are accumulating based on all these things that make these items similar or not. And then when you go to do a search for red Nike shirt, it'll go to this section and try to pull from the red Nike shirts, or all the red shirts, all the similar items, right? And then pull based on a number of things, based on what you typed in, but also based on your buying activity, your previous buying activity. It does consider, and a number of other factors that is still up in the air, and the article doesn't, or that white paper, the white papers really don't go in and it's like the proprietary stuff, I guess, that eBay won't talk about.
Yeah,
so,
that white paper was definitely designed and written for software engineers. So eBay's Cassini, to just expand on what you were saying, and this is how I understand it, eBay's Cassini used to primarily be a keyword search. So title structure, keywords are still important, but it used to be the most important thing. What's happened over the past little while, in my opinion, is that eBay's made a lot of changes. Since April, a lot more item specifics. That's really been happening the last 2 years. Promoted listings, and then all the iterations of that. They've switched out of the GSP to international shipping, to the new international shipping program. So all these changes happening at once. But on top of that, in April at some point, they changed the Cassini algorithm, which is eBay's search algorithm, as you mentioned, to be a vector similarity engine. And that already that starts getting into the waters that I don't really understand. So and for everybody in the chat, we're looking at this, or I'll speak to myself. It's like looking in the ocean and asking what kind of life is in the ocean. We're just looking from the top. So I don't understand all the complexities of it. But basically what it does, to use your red polo shirt, is that you fill out all your item specifics, and the vector similarity engine then uses those item specifics to rank and categorize your item. So, for example, you sell red polo shirts, you fill it out, men's, extra large, collar, everything else, and it puts it into this bottle. And then when somebody looks it up in the keyword search, it pulls it from from where it's put it in this bottle. So if you don't fill out the keywords properly now, your item is not going to become visible. And I think that they've been working on this category by category by category. Now, other things are important, and this really is where it kind of blows my mind. But on top of that, Cassini decides which ones to pull first. So the most seen listing, or the one at the very top. It does that by a 0 to 1 rank, as far as I understand. And there's all these factors that determine whether or not it gets a 0 rank, which is really, really good, or a 1 rank, which is bad. Time, promoted, seller rating, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's looking to me like, based on this white paper article, and then based on the patent information that eBay's provided on the new Cassini algorithm, that you have to fill out item specifics is extremely important, and not make your own. And also don't put NA or anything unknown like that. That's why they said don't do it, because it's not placing you properly. And then on top of that, promotions, free returns, free shipping, which I don't do, but that's one of them. And all those other factors that rank you close to 0, which will get you to the very top of your bucket where the new vector algorithm puts you in. Right.
I agree. And one thing I've started to do in my listings is, when you're creating a listing, it used to be just fill out the required item specifics, and then let everything else, just forget about everything else and move on. But now I think it's more important to focus on the item specifics that are recommended, that say trending, and have a value next to them, like 200 searches for this specific, right? Or sometimes just in the thousands or even higher numbers than that. You really need to focus on getting a valid some kind of value in there that is valid and matches with the item, so that it'll help with what Josh just kind of spoke about there.
Yeah, and I think the old keyword search Cassini search algorithm, I think the software engineers at eBay saw an end of life for that search engine, and that probably happened because it was taking longer and longer for Cassini to pull the searches. It's because there's so many items. So I think they actually had to switch to this method, but it's kind of all messed up. And this goes back to my question: are things broken and they're fixing it, or is this the new way? Because sometimes you'll look for like a Volkswagen hubcap, and you'll get women's tops, and we see lots of examples of this kind of stuff online. So that to me is just saying Cassini's having troubles putting listings in the proper buckets, and it's having troubles determining which ones to show the customer. So how long does this take? Is that actually what's going on? Because it appears, based on everything that we've all kind of talked to, and John and I have spoken a lot outside of YouTube as well, and we're trying to crush through this stuff, but it's thick, heavy stuff. It really is.
Right. And my question is it the same best practices are being expected from eBay, and they're just doing it a little differently behind the scenes, and it was never really supposed to come out that things have changed? But obviously people are noticing a change. Myself, not much, but I do see. That's the thing. I try to take a lot of the feedback that a lot of people are posting in these comments in the chats, and I put my own stuff aside, because right now I would not be able to tell you by looking at my main account that there's a real problem. But other people like yourself are experiencing this. And why is it? Is it category specific? Why isn't it across the board? Why does it seem like these things are happening to only certain types of items? Now we talk about higher ASP type items, higher in demand items, and I've been talking about that for a long time, well before April 1st. Right. But why is it now coming to roost? I mean, it's more obvious than ever that this is happening, but
yeah. My this is now we like move from things that we know to like what's the hypothesis of why this is happening, and I don't actually know the answer, but it seems to be affecting larger stores over smaller stores. So big stores that have a lot of items or that are in a particular niche. So is the answer then that their niche or their category hasn't been properly indexed or categorized, or is there right now is sell-through rate? Is that the primary objective of the Cassini algorithm while it fixes this stuff so that eBay can maintain its revenue? I don't really know. But if it is sell-through rate, it would explain why smaller stores are doing better, because they'll always have a higher sell-through rate. But I don't know that that's the case, because there are plenty of people on here that say that they only have a few items, they're in high demand, and they're not getting traffic. So why is Cassini choosing some over others? I don't know. And the other question to that I would have, and I don't know what you think about this, but it may be that someone's woes are someone else's wins. So if you're having a big store, 50,000 items, that's not selling anything, is that traffic being funneled to another store that's like, hey, I've never had it better? I don't know the answer to that either.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the latter category. I'm in the I haven't had it better category as far as sales on my main account. Now, with that said, I can tell you that I am seriously looking at, because I still have crap items in my main store that just sit there. I don't really sell a lot of them. The intention initially was to move them all over, but I didn't want to get my store down to such a low number. It's probably another 50, 60 items. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it, move it to the other store. And I have a secondary store, and this strategy has worked. And I think I had told you about this, is that I have two stores. Okay. And I put all the, what I call crap, that's the lower demand, lower ASP stuff, over to that main store, that secondary store, focusing about, I'd say 70% of my effort on the main store, and just keeping nothing but higher demand, higher ASP stuff in that store. And that has been what I've done since February, before all this stuff came to light. And I've noticed the night and day difference. So maybe that's a strategy that people might want to try to employ. But sorry, FedEx guy, that's here. But it's something that's worked for us, and maybe it'll work for other people in the same position. But if you have thousands of listings, man, I could just imagine trying to make that. It would be a really risky transition to make, to do all that work and find no success. So I don't know.
For the last 20 years, stores have seen success from just listing, because there's the premise that anything you list will sell eventually. So people that were listing really aggressively were doing really well. Now the environment has changed very quickly. Where, have you ever seen this Nito Sort 8000? I always talk about this thing.
I've heard of it, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
This thing is mind blowing. It's this huge, it's basically an automation line where anything with a UPC code can get put into this automation line. It scans it and lists it. It does it at a rate of about 3,500 items an hour. So through a 10-hour day, this thing can list 35,000 items for a store. So just imagine now the competition of the everyday listers who are listing 50, 100 items, whatever they can find. They're competing against this thing that's doing 35,000 items a day. So it also makes me wonder if some of these changes in the algorithm are to prevent that kind of stuff. There's another store on here. I want to say Stitch Fix, but I don't know exactly the name, what it was. They just take a front and back photo and it says women's dress. It's an entirely automated warehouse of listing. I see it on CDs where it says CD 2011. It's just taking a barcode and that's it. That kind of stuff. So I wonder if that's flooding eBay as well. And they're like, okay, we need to engineer our software to kind of, that's not a great shopping experience for the buyer. Let's start engineering our software to stores that are a little bit more, I don't know, lean and doing things properly.
Right.
So
Well, I can
is
tell
that
you,
in there as well?
any kind of automated system like this Nito 9000 that you're talking about,
yeah,
it's not going to deliver good item specifics. I mean, I know most sellers hate the idea that and this has been going on for years now, that we have to fill out item specifics. It's really slowed the process down, but folks that are using systems like this that are totally bypassing valid item specifics are sort of circumventing the system to get their listings out faster. And bad titles, I mean, a 2-3 word title, that's not a good title. How are they expecting? Now, maybe it's now being more punitive than ever where they were making sales before, but how can you put out a listing like that and expect good results? I've just never been the one that let's do a quick listing and move on, you know?
That's a really good point. This is why I think it was really important that smaller sellers get a seat at the table, because there is a big seller out there that sells books. And what they're doing is they're buying out libraries, because libraries across America are closing down. They buy out the library, all the stock, they run it through the Nito Sort, and it scans the barcodes and it puts up the listing, but it only puts up a barcode listing or a stock image. So if you're a big corporation like that and you're running 30,000 items a day, you're listing 30,000 items a day, they have a seat at the table with eBay. They sit there, they talk to them. eBay gives them a managed account person who helps them with compliance and make sure that they're doing everything right and everything like that. So, it would be nice for us to be able to speak with eBay to what benefits us, because those big corporations that are selling on eBay, they're going to try and product promote themselves so that they don't have any competition. And if we don't have a voice, what do? We don't have a voice until we get to their level, but they're doing everything in their power to prevent it. If I'm here selling books, there's no way I can keep up with them selling $4.96 free shipping. Of course not. Nope. They're listing 3,500 an hour.
Right.
So that's why I think it's important that we somehow have a voice and a seat at the table. If we leave it to them, they're going to do what's in their best interest, not ours. And unlike us, they're acting very strategically, where at our level, it's like infighting and madness almost. Would you agree with that?
I agree. And I think that this is probably as close to the table we're going to get. Our live streams like this, live streams like what you put out Monday through Friday. Josh puts one out 1 Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific time, Monday through Friday. And we talk about stuff like this, where he talks about stuff like this all the time. But, as far as these larger sellers, if you look at the type of listings that you described, short titles, virtually no relevant item specifics, is that the type of buying experience that eBay wants? If they're promoting these large businesses that do that, is this what eBay really wants? I don't think so. I think that eBay wants to promote I really think that eBay wants to promote a good buying experience.
I think so too. And the
seller that lines up with everything that eBay's asking them to do along the way will actually present a better buying experience, I think. And that's
I think so.
Specifics to avoid your INADs and all that, you know?
So we might have to follow the money a little bit too, and then see what type of revenue do they bring in, the big guys for eBay versus the smaller sellers, and then just do it like an apple to oranges comparison of how much revenue do we bring in and how much revenue do they bring in, and whoever brings in the most revenue is probably going to be the loudest voice. But I agree with you, it's a bad experience to be buying a used book on eBay. You only get a stock photo, and then when it comes to you, it's a library book and it's scribbled in and everything else, and you can see it in their feedback as well. But I would agree, it's not a great look for the platform.
Well, I don't know if you saw Bearded Picker's live stream from Wednesday. He made a good point. You get rid of all the small sellers. There is no eBay. These large companies cannot
can't sustain it.
Can't sustain eBay's bottom line. Okay.
Right.
That's never going to be an intention that eBay has. Now, unintentionally, they're pushing smaller sellers away because they're making the process more convoluted, more difficult, and frustrating when people can't get the same type of success doing what for many years eBay said here are the best practices. So now they come along with item specifics, promoted listings, all these different things to just jumble this whole process of listing on eBay. And it's no surprise to me that a lot of sellers are up in arms, like, what the hell's going on? You know?
Oh yeah. A lot of sellers are gone. I don't know how many saved sellers you have in your eBay feed, but almost half of the ones that I've followed over the past 5 years aren't there anymore. And you could see, based on their feedback slowly declining as we kind of got into this period of attrition, and now they're gone. So definitely it's been hurting. It's been hurting my business. I've noticed a reduction since April. I was on fire, and then it dropped like 80%. And slowly now it's come back.
Right. Now, why my biggest concern about all this is I think we can figure out a lot of the stuff out ourselves, but there's many people who don't watch these channels. I mean, there's many sellers who are trying right now, sitting in their garage, trying to figure out, why am I not getting any sales? Never thought to go to YouTube to find out. And shame on eBay for not putting out something saying, look, we're making some critical changes in the back end of our search. You may see some things that change, but don't worry, we're working on this and things should be normalized. Whatever it is, right?
But we're not going to ever get the communication that we want.
Not that we want, but some kind of communication.
Yeah.
Just throw me a bone, eBay. Give me something so that I know it's not me. Now, you get a lot of channels that'll say, okay, well, it's not me, it's eBay. And I think that's another discussion for another day. I certainly believe that the type of things you sell are having a huge impact. And what sold 3 years ago during the pandemic, today. I mean, if you're
not the same market.
If you're going to yard sales and you see Blu-rays and you see media, unless you're getting it darn dirt cheap, that's 2020 stuff. 2023, you could still buy it and sell it, but you're not going to do as well as you did 3 years ago.
I watched a video that was released by eBay, and it is available on the eBay channel, where they're speaking to a large seller, and the large seller was talking about the relationship that they have with eBay and how nice it was to have their own dedicated compliance officer, because that eBay employee, the compliance officer, would tell them the changes that the platform was going to make, the changes they needed to make to remain compliant, things they needed to do. So very helpful and great for them. But for us, it just ends up in Veros, loss of visibility, all the other things. So to your point, I completely agree that there is an unfair advantage for the bigger corporations. I'm actually okay with that because I understand that they're lobbying and they've built up and everything else. But at our level, it would be nice to have a little bit of communication. My only caveat to that is what's gone on over the past 3 days with Commonwealth Picker, where something as simple as, reaching out, I believe everything is done on his part, and I'll even speak to myself, done in good faith. And to have such a huge backlash, can sellers at this level ever, can they get a seat at the table? It's so important, but I don't know that it's possible.
Yeah. Let me just say, I've spoken to Kevin a couple times over the last week, and I can tell you guys with 100% certainty that I believe what he's saying. Kevin is a very straightforward guy, and it would not surprise me if eBay came next week to somebody, another channel, and said, hey, we want to get your feedback on this, and then just listen. Yep. And of course, there's no NDA needed to sign anything if you're just listening. So certainly believe Kevin with 100% that what he's saying is 100% on point. That and how many people? Let me just be okay. First of all, there's not a soul here in this chat that hasn't reached out to eBay in some way, shape, or form. And you may not have spoken to an executive, but you've spoken to a $2 rep out in the Philippines. At some point, you've dealt with eBay representatives to get some help with something. And what help? It's an answer. You're trying to get an answer to a question. And that's all we're doing is try to get answers to these questions. And so the idea that, okay, well, if you're reaching out to eBay, if eBay is talking to you, that somehow you've tainted the conversation, I think that's the wrong way to look about it. Now, if you have somebody who's reached out to eBay, signed an NDA, and then you see their content change dramatically, then you should be concerned. If it's become a fluff piece every time you watch their channel, then I think, something's definitely changed, and you can draw your own conclusion. But I can tell you that I've never seen a change in any content that I've seen over the last couple of years. I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get with most people.
I think even if they end up signing NDAs with those influencers, and those influencers want to represent the brand and they're good for eBay, even that I'm okay with. I would just like something to let everyone know that they are somehow eBay affiliated. I think that would be fair game. So if you want to be an influencer, you want to go up and say eBay's the best and I'm a cheerleader and you've got a big following, that's okay. But at the bottom says sponsored by eBay, just like YouTube and the YouTube ads. It says, do you have a sponsorship or whatever else? It's just disclosure. So I would prefer that. I'm okay with it.
That's the legal way to do it. You have to, exactly. Sponsored by, if you are actually, well, let me say, if you're giving a sponsored message or a message from a company, you need to put that in your settings when you're actually doing the video.
And I think eBay would go that route. I believe maybe in the past they haven't, but you, as Kevin said, you can't hold the son accountable for sins of the father. So we are now, it's a new, not entirely new, but we have to give them the benefit of the doubt now that they're acting in good faith. And then I think it's incumbent upon us that if we are reaching out to them, that we also act in good faith. It's my opinion. So I do hope something.
Basically, it's a forgiven thing that the eBay's done in the past, but you don't never really you always have that in the back of your mind that has happened. Some stuff like this has happened before, and I think that's where a lot of people have a lot of negative vibes against eBay because of a lot of this stuff that's happened in the past, and they can't just let it go. I can let it go. I've let it go, but it's more of a I'm not going to forget type of thing. So you always have that in the back of your mind. But I am hopeful, and
we have to do something because the model right now is that they don't tell us anything. We don't know what's going on. Search engine changes. All this stuff is changing. Nobody has a clue what's going on. Everybody's mad, arguing, fighting, blaming eBay. But as Jenna mentioned, had they just come out and given us some little piece of red meat, we can kind of figure it out for ourselves. Would have been much, much more beneficial to everyone.
Right.
Exactly. And that's all I want from eBay. I don't want the KFC original recipe. Okay. I just want them to throw us a bone to let us know that we may see something different within our business because of the things they're working on in the background. That's a kind of message that won't scare off their shareholders, because shareholders need to know that innovations, like magical innovations, are being made in the background. And as long as they let us know, now I'm hopeful. I had asked them 2 years ago in response to what they did back in 2020. I don't know if you remember, they lost in the fall update.
Yeah.
They lost a bunch of photos from sellers of clothing. And I said, look, we're going into Q4. All these people have to put these listings back together again.
Yeah.
Why don't you do this stuff behind the scenes? It's like doing road work at 2 a.m. You ever see road work being done at 2 a.m? Well, eBay's 2 a.m. historically has been the summer months.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Do it during the summer. Yeah, sales are historically slow, so they'll get a little slower. But when we get to Q4, we're firing away, and I'm hopeful
that's what's happening. I hope. Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. I'm hopeful that's what's happening. Q4 is like a whisper away now, though, and it seems that a lot of people are still having problems. So there is, I think, a little fear and trepidation. There will be a lot of businesses that do not survive if Q4 is weak. There are, I believe that there are a lot of businesses on here that are really maxed right now. They really need a strong Q4 to get themselves in the black. So.
And another thing too, another thing that's totally off topic of this, but as far as retaining sellers on the platform, eBay came out. I don't know if you received this email, but eBay Main Street came out with the email saying, hey, they're still trying to fight the whole $600 threshold, and contact your senator and this, that, and the other thing. So it even sounds like there may be something going on to kick that can down the road.
Sure. Yeah.
I can tell you, I mean, it doesn't affect me any. I'm filing my taxes, and I think it's a very controversial subject, but there's a lot of people that are going to be leaving the platform, not only from slow sales, but also from that actually being enforced. Wow, I just got my $5,000, 1099, and now I got to pay taxes on it. I ain't doing this year. And they're going to walk away from the business, I think. So, a lot of things coming down. I think the next few months are going to be very telling how Q4 goes. And then once we get into Q1 of next year, when people start getting 1099s, you might see a lot of people, a big hiatus from the site. Now I can see it already. There's going to be a number of folks, and I believe No One Designs, Salami Sandwich is going to say, let them leave, more sales for me. I can see it already, but it is what it is. Any further things you want to say on this subject?
Well, just the thing that came to mind is that we can always look at things, or we always will, from our vantage point and our point of view, to build on what you said, because we're kind of seller centric for our own thing that's going on. But as you mentioned, if you zoom out to 30,000 feet and you look down, eBay is being lobbied and sued by retail organizations, by manufacturers. They're being lobbied by the government. They're in a lawsuit with Facebook. They're in a lawsuit with Google. So certainly there's a lot going on that we don't see and we don't understand. And I wonder too, they've got to incorporate the changes that they're forced on that end to make into the platform as well. This platform is massive. It's got to be one of the biggest and most complicated search engines, I would imagine, even more so than Google on the internet. It's got AI in it. It's got promoted listings. It's so dynamic versus everything else.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. YouTube is the biggest search engine out there, but I would imagine with they said over 1 billion listings on the platform, that it'd certainly be right up there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so I don't know. It's just one of those things that people talk about. Well, the shareholders getting the changes and the fee increases are for the shareholders, but if you, like you said, lawsuits, different things like that, we talk about it's not free to change and innovate a website, even though we haven't really seen a whole lot of innovation.
We haven't seen a lot of magic at all. Let's be honest.
When the buyer complains and eBay just says, "Okay, seller, keep your money. We're going to give the buyer a refund."
Right.
All that money has to come from somewhere.
That money has to come from somewhere.
Right. And so, we get upset and we blame it on shareholders, but there's a lot of other things going on that I think we kind of tend to tell our own story with the limited information that we see, and the narrative isn't always necessarily what's happening with eBay. So want to, get to some of our folks in chat.
We got a lot.
So
195 people.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, guys.
Hit the like button.
Get a sale in the next 24 hours.
Or your money back from the cost of clicking on that like button. So yeah, I told Josh we usually run this about 2 hours, but I want to get your guys' feedback out there in the chat. If you haven't been with us and you're new to the channel, certainly if you have a question, put question before you ask it so I can try to get to it. But I just want to acknowledge a few folks. We got Guy Guru. This is going to be a good one, I think. What Josh calls a banger episode.
Banger.
It's a banger. You're the only one that says banger. That must be a Canadian thing.
Joe pointed that out.
Let's see here. This is going to be one of the bestest ever. I think it's been a really, really good conversation. Let's see. Hi, John. This is Mark Sudik. To check the calendar. Thought last track of what day of the week is live on a Thursday. Yes, because we'll be out of town this weekend, and we're going to be in Cincinnati next weekend. So next week's live is going to be on Thursday as well.
Yes.
We have Curator of Thrift here, and then Biscuit Butts already signed his NDA. So
I'm watching you.
Yeah, he's already signed it, so he's not allowed to talk at all. That's the only comment he's allowed to say.
Yeah, well, too late.
Let's see. Mark says, are we doing a live on Friday as well? Nope. This is the one we're doing this week and next week. Lawrence Trombley says, when Tech gets his YouTube channel started, I think it's Tech and Sports, he'll be the #1 eBay YouTuber, and then Chris joins him, making it even bigger. eBay strikes a deal with them. Now eBay runs the YouTube world. But again, people get to choose who they watch.
Yeah, let them go for it.
If they want to have 1 million subscribers, that's fine. I mean, I probably would be one of them to see what they're saying, but you have to discern what I'm saying. If it makes sense to you, if Josh says something that makes sense to you, or if they're saying something totally different that makes no sense at all, well, are you going to do that? I mean,
if Tech is going to get millions of eyeballs on the platform because his personality is savvy and has all the good things, I say go for it. That's perfect. I'm on board.
Now let me say, I like Tech. I like what he's done. I think a lot of what he says is spot on. Look, I support the guy. If he wants to cash in on his fame of as unknown fame, and now that's great. The great marketing. And that if he provides good content, then people will continue to watch. Victor's Wawiarka says, hey, FAA fam, hope everyone's doing great. We have the Thrifty Loon. No sales today. That's not good to hear. Joe Samard says, happy Thursday, all. Flip It Good says, good evening, everyone. Lenny K, hello from New Hampshire. Sales have been very poor. 10 days to go before Q4. We don't want to hear that. And then Guy Grew had good sales last night. Today, something definitely not right.
Yeah.
Henri Squaw says, howdy, everyone. I've seen a lot of the same names that are in your lives.
There's some new ones.
Yeah. We have Rain Gallardo says, sorry, Josh, never seen your channel before, but just took a peek and subscribed. So
Rain, you'll love his content.
Yeah. He
even I like watching.
Yeah, he's for an hour, strict an hour. So it's like I'm giving you an hour. That's it. Jovial says, no haters on the episode because I know who you are. You understand what we're talking about is blocking here. Don't nobody get away with it. Not even Alabama, an Alabama smarty. You're talking about Beard on that one, I'm sure. Let's see. Yeah, is he? Okay. Callie Debs. Hi, John, Josh, and Jenna, the 3 J's.
The 3 J's. Triple J.
Jeff Zenick. Hi, folks. Create, endure, enjoy.
Yes.
We have Devon. And You Save Again says hello from over Josh's channel. Looking forward to the talk.
Oh, very nice. Thank you for joining us.
We have MJ. And, of course, we have a viewer who's been with us for a very long time. He's from Lakeland, Florida, Kevin Hawthorne.
Yes.
Jonas Kung says, great channel, bro. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And Jonas says, you have Facebook? I do. I'm putting content out there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I am on Facebook and Instagram. Guy Guru says, anyone else get huge spike in impressions yesterday? What about you? Have you had anything like that happen?
Yeah, big time. I'm up like 20-25% in impressions yesterday.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
My impressions, I can tell you, they're up. My impressions yesterday are the most impressions I've had within the 30-day period.
66%.
It's a 17.1% increase in impressions, but my impressions are down 23% month over month overall. So, hey, I don't care about the impressions. They don't put impressions in my bank account.
Right.
So It's all about
You skip
what money I
PG.
make. Ping G says, hello, John and Jenna in the
Hi,
chat. We have Rhiannon's here. Michelle
Hi.
Williams finally making the live.
Yay.
I'm trying to get as many of you guys as I can. There's a
Pirate
lot
and
watching.
Mermaid.
Where?
Michelle said
okay.
AKA Pirate
We have
and
that
Mermaid
sign
because
behind
our,
us. Yeah,
our
yeah.
sign.
Gil Carlson, and we have Larry Todd. I hope you're feeling good, Larry.
Oh, Larry, I hope you're feeling
Yeah.
better.
Hope you're feeling better, Larry Todd.
He's Larry Todd.
Yeah, he's Todd to everyone else.
I
He's
know.
Larry
I
Todd.
was watching Beard. Was that this morning or yesterday?
It was
I don't know.
yesterday.
And
I had to show her the F-bomb.
oh, he's here.
Oh, she? Okay.
No, I saw Todd on the screen. I'm like, wait a minute, Todd. No, that's Larry Todd.
Yeah. Baubles and blings. Oh yeah, that's right. We're doing this a day early. For a second, I thought my ADHD lost the patient.
None of you are crazy. Well, maybe you are a little, but we had nothing to do with that. But yes, we are a day early.
Biff Buffo has had some issues since the 2nd of April. It hasn't been the same. Hustle and Gross is good evening, everyone. I'm glad I got to be here tonight. Well, thank you for being here, Ed. That's nice of you for being here.
Hey, I got my shirt on.
What is it? I like murder shows, comfy clothes, and maybe 3 people. Well,
that's us.
Yeah.
That's us. We're doing good.
Love It Collectibles says, hi, Josh. And Mid-State 515, good evening. Here's Noelle. Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Hey.
Kim Sharp. Hello, John and Jenna and Josh.
Noelle's got a live tonight, I think, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I was going to direct traffic over there.
Just
when we're
real
done.
quick. Noelle says, I will never live that down. No, but it made for
so
really great content.
I mean, you just got to watch it. Steve, he just went from
0 to 100.
It was like, wow.
So
Steve needed it though. I saw he's starting to close his eyes. That perked him right up. And I think he needs that every once in a while.
Yeah.
It took him a little while to simmer down.
Biff says I can predict my day by the number of offers I can send out. It is absolutely the barometer for me. When I only have 10 offers to send, I feel like I'm going back to bed. It's not great. I mean, I'm constantly sending offers throughout the day, but it isn't great at all. Jackie says hello and backyard mowing, horrible sales. And then here's Beard. Nope, I'm an influencer. I can be bought. Awesome to see you, Beard, Scott. And Mad Hatter says I had 17 sales from yesterday afternoon to this morning. Best sales day quantity-wise lately. I list 5 new items a day, always nothing special. Sales are still rocking and rolling. October should be amazing.
That's great.
So this is another seller that can kind of attest to good sales throughout all this stuff since April.
Yeah.
I'm in that category. I don't know what Mad Hatter's boutique. I mean, you can maybe tell by the name, but I'm not sure that's what they sell because I heard hats weren't so hot, right? Don't you sell hats?
I sell hats. Hats for me are not. That's a tough one to really judge on because they typically do very well for me in the spring going into the summer. So April is usually my peak, April, May for hats anyway. And then it naturally kind of bleeds out as the summer goes on, it gets colder. So I can't give good information on whether or not the category is just naturally kind of slowing down or is it affected.
I was thinking, what's the chances that all this was just nothing more than a perfect storm since April? The changes to the site, of course, it was documented. The white papers came out sometime in May, right? So if it's coming out in writing in May, you know they're working on it sometime in April, right? Yep. So from April till present, what's the chances of we're dealing with slow economy? That's one part of the equation. Summer slowdown. Everyone's spending time outside and not in front of the computer screen, right? What's the chances of that with all the stuff that's going on with eBay? And if you're not selling the right kind of stuff, then you're not going to get the same kind of traction without all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
What's
You're
the
asking
chance?
What percentage do I think?
I'm just saying, what's the chances of that we're dealing with, all we're dealing with since April 1st is nothing but a perfect storm of all these things.
100% chance. It's a 100% chance.
Yeah.
And it's not
100%
just
100% chance.
Because so many people are like, it's eBay. But I think there's.
But I don't think it is. I mean,
isn't.
I think, and a lot of people are going to hate on me for saying it, but it's not all eBay's fault.
No.
It's not. A lot of people can't get over the fact that they might be selling something that used to sell 2 or 3, 4, 5 years ago used to sell really well, but now we're in a different climate.
Yeah.
The world is changing every single day, and you have to pivot, as Josh would say, every time you're noticing something being swayed on eBay.
But not so fast, though. It's not a
no,
quick pivot.
You're right. You're right. Not a quick pivot, but I just believe that you can't constantly blame eBay and, oh, there's a glitch of this, there's this. Yes, there are glitches. We know there's glitches. However, you have to take accountability for your own store and your business.
Yes.
It's not set on just eBay. If it's just eBay's fault, then maybe you should just leave.
Yeah. But where do you go? Where do you go?
2 years ago, when I would go out with friends, the conversation will always go to people saying about the market, how well the market is doing, and how much their house is worth. Now it's, I can't believe how expensive things are. And I think when people are saying, I can't believe how expensive things are, they're really telling you they're tapped. They're maxed. Because as you said, perfect storm, high inflation, high interest rates, and mortgages are gone up, car payments have gone up, the cost of cars have gone up. There's a war happening. People are afraid. Stock market goes down. They don't feel wealthy. There's problems on the platform. It's summer slowdown. You know, there is flooding with influencers and everything else. It's all these things. I agree 100%. Everything, what degree they act on this, I don't know. But combined, it's 100% certainty that is affecting sales right now.
Right now, and reflecting back over the last summer, I can tell you probably a good 20% of my sales were from either offers or counter offers from buyers who many would consider lowball, right? So I have a $70 item. I offer, 50. They come back at 35, right? And it's like the other day, I told Jenna, I took the 35 and she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I'm into this for $1, Jenna.
Yeah.
Who would take 35X?
I told him to get out of my office.
I'm into this for $1, and it's been in my account for, it's been posted for 2 months. I'm going to take that. Okay. Yeah. How many people that are talking about slow sales are refusing those offers or even blocking people who start off at a low number? I look at it like this. I don't care if you're coming to me and asking me for free, which is not an option. You're expressing interest in my item. Okay. Now, maybe even 10% of those people I can get back to come down to earth with what reality is. And here's what I can do. And if they're still serious about it and they see that I'm willing to work with them, they're 10% of them at least, maybe it's a bigger number than that, are going to buy my item. Can you guys handle an extra 10% in sales?
Yeah. And to build on your point, just a question to the chat, and everyone, if you want to just put in the chat, how many of you have had this experience recently where people will buy something from you on a Monday, a $10 item, and they'll message you and say, hey, is it okay if I pay Friday? That just goes to show you how tight people are right now, that even a $15 item all in, they don't have the money on their credit card to pay until they get paid from their employer to make a little bit of room so that they can buy that thing from you.
Yeah.
Has anyone experienced that in the chat?
Right.
Biff says, I'm just waiting out the problems. I've cross-listed, but it's a hedge. I'm not going to drop my niche. It was fine till April. I'm still up year to date. Now, have you, I don't think you've started cross-posting yet, have you?
I'm on the fence. I'm right there, but every time I start opening up the accounts and getting ready, I get a boost in sales, and then I'm like, okay, my time is better spent listing.
Well, it is, but what about even, okay, do your normal routine, spend an extra 30 minutes. If that means that it's going to allow you to cross-post 5 items, just 5 items. Because I hear you talking about, and this is one thing I wanted to bring up to you, you like list 100 items a day. I mean, that's what you kind of been doing lately.
Today's 20. I've been like really...
You've been busy.
So let me ask you as to the why in that. If we know that sales are, the larger stores are struggling, the more items you add to your store, you're kind of bringing down your sell-through rate. Why do you continue to keep adding large quantities to your store like that? So
these items that I'm listing historically have done very well for my business up until April. And I've seen incredible growth in the business up until April. And this is kind of where I'm at right now. If it is only everything is under construction then I don't want to stop doing this because the model isn't broken. As much as I complain about sales or, the issues that are going on with the site, I am still up around 65% year over year. So from a higher vantage point, things are working. So keep going the direction that I'm going. If the model is not going to work anymore moving forward, I am willing to pivot, but I don't want to abandon a business model that's been working for now 3 or 4 years because of a few months in the summer when we're in, like all the factors that you mentioned. Does that mean pivot? I don't know. So I mix in some higher value items or higher ASP, higher sell-through rate items. But, I don't know. I don't know the answer and I question myself on this every single day. And this is a really good challenge question because I don't know if what I'm doing is the wrong thing or not. Putting high value, low sell-through rate items in hundreds a day, if that is a model that still works, because it did until April.
You're gonna say something. Go ahead.
So what if you were to continue to do what you do on eBay every day, but then you take those same, not even all of them. You don't even have to do all of them. Take, 20 or 30 of those same items, put them on Mercari, put them on Poshmark. What more could that hurt or hinder your business that you're doing now? I think it could only improve, make things better.
Yes. So that's like kind of do a SWOT analysis on that: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So for me, the cross listing, if you're not getting the sales, and I've kind of been watching James and some of these other bigger YouTubers as they cross list to see what kind of traction they're getting. If I can list $1,000 worth of stuff in an hour, but I take that hour and cross post it to Mercari, which maybe pays me $50 for that hour, I'm kind of having to weigh whether or not the sales that I get on the other platforms are worth me putting less items up on eBay. So, and part of the issue here is too, is that I have almost 4,000 items in queue right now that I really just want to blast through before Q4. So that's also part of it. So I have started backing up my items using InkFrog. So at least then I'm kind of
good.
But that's a big thing, is that I was not properly managing my risk. If things got deleted, then I'm done for. So that's the first step. And then I think it is something, if things don't get better for Q4, I think, Jenna, I got it. I have to, right? I have to.
And I don't even think it needs to be on the same scale. Sorry. I don't think it needs to be.
I don't know what's going on.
What happened?
I don't know.
The scale between, of course, eBay is our number one and will always be number one unless it absolutely shuts down.
Right. Right.
But we have this, we've got Poshmark, Mercari, of course we have Bonanza, but that's a joke. But we have those things to kind of fall back on the days that are a little more mediocre than eBay. But eBay will always be listed first. We'll get 10, 20 listings up a day on eBay, and then they'll go to the other sites.
Right.
They don't. It's not something that we spent, like everybody's saying how Posh and Mercari are booming right now. Not for us.
Right.
eBay is king.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree.
Now, one thing I want to say though, in regards to continually posting just stuff that doesn't really have high demand. Okay, I'll give you an instance. We went to the yard sale this last Saturday. Jenna bought like 10 pairs of really good shoes. We got in this bulk deal that we got. Now, I was surprised she grabbed the shoes, right? I was thinking that they were going to end up going on the main account, but she grabbed them and started listing them, and not one pair is sold yet. Okay.
Yeah.
She put it on the secondary account with all the other low ASP stuff.
Yeah.
And like for me, the other half of the stuff, the technical things like the Garmins, I sold the Garmin, I sold a Guitar Hero guitar, the coffee maker it was a $700 sale on my main account.
Those are all sold now.
All sold. And so it tells me, well, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with these. We're talking brand new shoes.
Yeah.
And so I told her, I said, look, those shoes you listed on that account, we need to put them on the main account and get the crap off of my account over to yours.
Right.
So we're going to spend some time doing that, even making adjustments there, because what's the point in listing stuff if it's just going to be put into a sea of items that aren't selling?
Right.
So, and I agree with you. So if you're listing, let's say you're listing pins or buttons, and there are some great pins and buttons out there, but if you're just adding to the mix and this stuff doesn't really move, that's one thing. But so if these are, let's say, specialty hockey pucks, and I list 100 of these specialty hockey
You're the
pucks.
only one that talked about selling hockey pucks, by the way.
You know, if I were to list 100 of these a day, there will be days where I sell $600 worth, which makes it worth it. And then maybe 2 weeks of silence. And then another day where 30 sell. And that's kind of the data that I've been getting from eBay lately. So when I say that I'm listing stuff, it's not like 100 a day. It's not junk. There's definitely demand for it. It sells for a good price. The issue with some of the niches that I'm in is that it's very, very small, very, very tiny. So, you know, I don't know. It historically has worked very well. I'm very hesitant to stop because the business model has worked up to this point. And now we're seeing all these changes on the platform. And part of me suspects that it's the changes on the platform, not the business model. That's the problem.
Well, but this, just to go back to what I was saying, though, she placed 10 quality pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
They're Hokas, they're Sam Edelmans, they're all new.
And they're not moving.
Some of them have had no views.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So you're throwing those good items into a sea of crap.
Yes.
And they're getting drowned by the garbage, I think. That's just my hypothesis. I really am starting to believe, because of that and a number of other factors, that if your store is not is running at a low conversion rate, low sell-through rate, that it's going to be very hard to get out of that hole as long as those items are holding you back.
So that's my question then. This actually brings up a really good point. So stores on eBay are not like a flea market store where you walk in and the Hokas are under some dusty old records and you just don't notice it because there's 50,000 items in the shop and you're like, this is a mess, I'm not going in here. Yeah. Why would that matter if someone had 50,000 items or 10 items? Why should that matter when they're selling Hoka shoes? Does it matter? It seems to, right?
Well, it seems to in the way that it is right now. That's what it's looking like.
Well, but think about it. eBay is weighing all these things that we do within our own store, whether it's utilizing item specifics, promoted listings, all those things, account health. And I really think that your store's sell-through rate is a big, big component of your account health. It's not enough to be a top-rated seller. If you're not doing all the things, if you have a store that nobody goes into and walks by all the time, let's say if you had a brick and mortar, who would promote that?
Right.
And so I think, okay, you could say, well, he's got a shipment of these brand new Hokas in the store, but if the perception is that your store is crap, how many people would still go in there? So
true. Yes,
I think that, and of course we'll never know. All we could do as creators, YouTube creators, is come out here in front of the camera and say, here's what I think. And half the time, more than that, it's probably not worth anything. But I have a suspicion that there is something to that, where the stuff in your store, your historical sell-through rate will affect your current or your future sell-through rate if nothing's done with the items that are in there holding that number back. That makes sense.
So then let's go to our motorcycle parts guy. Low sell-through rate stuff, all of it is, right? Custom parts for custom motorcycles from the 60s up until the 2000s or whatever. He's not going to have a high sell-through rate on any of his stuff. So what does that guy do now that he's built this huge business, 10,000-foot warehouse, everything else, selling custom motorcycle parts? Does he just scrap the inventory, discount it, get rid of it, and move to high sell-through rate iPhone charges or snowboards or whatever the case may be? So that's another thing. Like, look at we both know of someone who has a huge store, 50,000 items. How does that person pivot now? Now that if things have truly changed and it's all about sell-through rate, how does that person pivot? Imagine the amount of time and energy it would take to pivot that store now.
Well, I mean, I could tell you, it's not like this our secondary store is not getting sales at all. It's just not getting. We only have 500 items in that store. So
yeah, but the 500 items in that store, 95% of them are crap. And when I say crap, they're like, they're all under, under $20. Some are under $10 because of the sale, the coupon, it all adds up and it takes money off of the bottom line. And then you go and you add fees on it. We're making $2-3 on it. I'd rather stick it out in a yard sale and have it be gone. That way I can keep the shoes that I just got in my store and add more to that.
Which is the plan. We're going to have a yard sale next month at some point. But I think, to answer your question, that seller of motorcycle parts would have to go in and look at his or her best performing items in their mind and put them maybe on one store and their garbage. Even though you want to have everything in a niche, I get it. But at least what we're doing and what's working for us is having that. And that's not saying that the store full of crap isn't selling. I mean, we made $50 in sales on that. What did we sell? We sold some of the Army stuff. Okay. That's higher end stuff that would probably be better suited on the main account. But that should have been sold by now. I mean, we're dealing with stuff I bought. When did I buy this stuff? Well,
this is all cold water undergarments for the Army. So but they're new with tags. Yes, they should have sold earlier, but we're coming into winter.
I understand. But my point is, if this same stuff was on my main account, it would have sold months ago. So it's not like we're not getting sales, but it's just
it's a trickle here and there. It's not ever, I don't ever get a banger weekend.
Right. Well, and this is a really good point. So for everybody in the chat, we're kind of just hashing this out. This is actually a genius thing, is to create a low sell-through rate store and a high sell-through rate store. And then so even if it's not crap, let's say, but it's something really niche, like
it's a low dollar.
Or even high dollar, like you have antique paintings, and maybe it's going to take a while for someone to find that painting. You put it in a low sell-through rate store, and then you have the high sell-through rate store. I think it is a really good idea. I really do.
Yeah.
And this crap store has made so far almost $12,000 for the year, and 500 items-ish, 500 to 600 items. We're not talking about a lot of items. So it isn't as bad as I may kind of paint the picture that it is, but it is pretty bad. I mean, when half the store are like, we're talking LPs.
We have a lot of albums from that big giant buy that him and Archie made. We have still a lot of those left. And so and they're all, listed singly. So those take up a lot of the space within the total of items that are on the store.
Right. So, but in comparison, 12,000 to 100,000 is a huge difference between stores. But I think if we didn't make the change, if we kept everything on my main account, right now we'd be probably talking about a $60,000 a year combined with all the same product. But because we split it up, I'm a huge believer in the results that it's caused us to really, and it was just kind of unexpected. I was looking at just the increasing ASP. I wasn't thinking about getting rid of the crap into the other stores having a side effect, but I'm starting to think that it has now.
Yeah.
You know the company Overstock.com?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They have their own dedicated eBay site, managed accounts, everything else, enterprise level. They have 450,000 items approximately up on eBay. They sell 1,500 items a year. But if you go to Overstock.com, they're selling billions of dollars worth a year.
Wow.
So why are they not getting good traction on eBay or good placement on eBay, but they seem to be doing well off-site? It's not. I don't think it's not that their products aren't good, in my opinion. Maybe they aren't. I don't know. But it seems to be good off-site. Why isn't it good on-site? Stuff like that, And
it's a lot of factors. Are they? I think promote. A lot of people don't want to promote. I think is this company promoting? Are they just putting up the bare minimum in their listings? Are they filling out item specific? So if they're not playing the game to get their items seen, it doesn't matter who they are. They're the eBay can even be giving them, making them sign an NDA, which they do to get a lower rate on their final value fees. If they're not still playing the game, I think the rules of the game apply to all big sellers and sellers.
Yeah.
And I think you got a lot of stores, big sellers that are still going to get their sales. But I think those companies probably play by the rules that we're supposed to be playing. Yeah. But back to cross-listing, I think it's an important part of it. Beard says I've cross-listed, but these platforms are very slow.
Same here.
And
but it is fruitful for a lot of other people. But then again, keep in mind, we don't sell a lot of clothing. Anything that has to do with what you wear is shoes. We have a ton of shoes.
Right.
And that's mostly what that Poshmark is made up of.
That's a great category too.
Yeah, it is very good. Reseller says you guys need to start a podcast. Maybe we can do that. We'll talk about it.
That'd be fun.
Let's see. Anytime Picker Roman. No live stream is a live stream without Roman. I can tell you one thing. Archie wants to meet Russian women and marry her because he said that he has difficulty dating American women. And for the 217 people going, who the hell is Archie? Well, you watch enough of these and many of the live streams for this niche of eBay on YouTube, and you'll know who exactly Archie is. Doing It Wrong says, I'd love to see a link to this mythical white paper. Keep hearing about it, but haven't seen a link. If someone with the blue wrench could hook it up.
I'm going to send it now.
I think Guide Guru put it in there earlier.
We have Patricia with us is now establishing an identity like DNA for similar objects with the new search. I believe so, the way they've described it. And I even asked ChatGPT to break it down to me as if I was 5. It was pretty funny. But, I still didn't really understand it fully.
It needs to be a 3-year-old.
I need to bring it down a little bit, maybe. Let's see. I think Farm Girl says, Josh, is that the one you put on your community page? The link to
Guide Guru put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark says, let's face facts. eBay is not going to tell us anything about what's wrong because they don't know. They don't even know. They have screwed up the platform and they can't fix it. They need to build a new platform. That's one hypothesis. But honestly, I don't necessarily think that they don't know what's going on. I think it's part of the plan. I mean, I think this is a design. This is by design. Now, the why is it happening like this then? I mean, we can only guess as to why, unless. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, I would agree with you. When I first started looking at this, and I think John probably feels the same way, it was kind of like that. But the deeper you dig into this, you start the complexity and all the moving parts that are going on right now. For me, I started understanding why things had to change on the platform. Did you feel that way too? Like you understand why it's happening, but it is still doing some kind of damage on the site, clearly on the search.
Yeah. But I know from my background, of course, I'm not an IT guy, but I know from the corporate world that I had my own departments and I would go up the chain of command because we needed a certain thing implemented. And the responses I would get were a number of them. Well, it costs money to make this implementation. Oh, yeah. It isn't free. It's not in our budget. Or we are working on this, but because we added this thing, it broke this. And I'm sure that there's a lot of those conversations going on. And of course, eBay is not going to share that with us. I don't even want to know that. I just want to know that whatever road work you're doing right now is not going to prevent me from getting to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there's another path for me to work around this to make the sale. But they're not doing that. So we have to then sit here, look at our traffic, try to figure out if that's even valid, try to figure out, okay, well, how do I make this work? And I just got lucky, guys, that, I happened to think that make a change because we were struggling even as far back as October of last year in the middle of Q4 with the same kind of stuff that's on this other account. And we had to make a change. And
sometimes, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. When you're selling something over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden it's not selling, and then you're left with all of what we call crap, and you're like, what do we do? Like we can't pay our bills. Like what do we do? And so it just came down to changing what we sell.
Yeah, no choice.
Bottom line, we had to. We had no other choice.
Yeah.
well, I mean, we had another choice, go get jobs and work for the corporate world again, but who wants to do that?
Never again. Never again. I'll die. I'll die before I do that. But the walrus, man, bear, pig. That's a new one. Thanks for being here. AEIU from eBay had to check out this stock with the J Galt World Tour.
Yes.
To hit the like button so I get my sale. What's in the cards for you coming up? Just any good buys coming up for you, or you just got to work through what you have already?
I bought a collection. I'm deep. I'm almost like 70,000 into inventory this year purchases. So I've got enough to ride it out till the end of Q4. And then just kind of from there, I'm going to pivot and see what direction I want to go. But I have enough. I think that even if I grow at my 65% till the end of the year, I don't have to pay too many taxes. It's all reinvested in inventory. So I just want to pull back the reins once this stuff gets listed. How about you? What are your plans for the
we're going to keep doing the same thing that
what you're doing. Yeah.
It just, we're going to add some
we're
yard
going to make
sales
some changes. Like he said, we're going to take some of the lingering crap that's over on the main account, move that over to the other account, and then we plan on having a yard sale next month. Nice. And get rid of a big chunk of just what's holding down the store. That's our main goal.
I would rather take that 500 item crap store we keep talking about as crap. Get rid of the stuff that we get rid of. And then I've got 1,000 people calling me right now. I don't understand what's going on. But they're probably not thinking that I'm doing a live today. But take a lot of that stuff, sell it in a yard sale, and then start building only higher demand, higher ASP. If she wants to go buy a dozen pairs of shoes at a yard sale, it's going to be added to stuff that's already decent stuff. And, like the military, we probably out of the 500 items have maybe 50 items that are worth a darn in that store.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise,
the military stuff's almost gone. I mean, literally, I think I only have maybe 3 pairs of boots left.
Yeah, we easily made
Actually, no, we only have 1 pair of boots.
We easily made, I thought I saw 3 the other day, but we easily made close to $1,000 on that lot. We picked up for $60 at a yard sale. And I was one of those things we took a chance on. No One Design Salami Sandwich. This line is brought to you by the word crap. Oh, geez. Thanks for being here. And then also sponsored by Bean. Like Bean, but different. Thanks, guys. Appreciate those.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I was wondering where Tommy was, but he always kind of rolls in kind of late.
He's at ballet.
He's the Phil Hellmuth.
He's probably at ballet.
He's the Phil Hellmuth of live streams. He just rolls in late whenever he feels like it. If anybody knows about poker.
He probably, I'm sure he watches and he's just quiet until Roman gets here, and then he starts spouting together with the 2 of them.
Yeah. Devon says, Josh, yes, to see how much money bigger companies are making.
Oh, yeah. Earlier when you said that you'd like to see how much money the bigger stores are making.
Revenue for eBay versus us. Yeah.
Folding Chair Johnson's is going to be interesting during the late October, November, and Black Friday. So what's your outlook on Q4? Based on what you've seen this year, how do you think it's all going to shake out?
This is not backed up by empirical data, but I'm just going to use it from experience I've had in the stock market, is that when everyone needs something to happen, it doesn't happen. So everyone is dependent on a strong Q4. They need it. And that just tells me that it might not be the case. Yeah. So, but I hope I'm wrong about that.
So we have Bearded Picker says, I challenge eBay to call me. They don't want to hear the truth, so I won't hold my breath. And that's why they don't call me either.
They will
Scott.
Never, ever call.
No way.
Flipping ain't easy.
And if they do, I will think someone's playing a prank. I'm getting punked because there's no way that they want to hear what I have to say. Look, everything I would tell them, they can already read in the comments in a lot of these channels. So why would they reach out to any YouTube creator? Because all the feedback they could ever want. It's
all in the comments.
Look at all the videos.
Yeah.
I mean, they have somebody in the social media team, I'm sure, reads those things. If they really want to know what the feedback is from the sellers, all they got to do is report the negative stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think for sure they've got more than enough information. They just got to watch the videos. They know what people are suffering and what's going on, and they can make adjustments or not. It's the other way.
Yeah.
They're getting all the information from us, but we're not getting anything coming the other way. At least not what we need to, strategically move, especially if you're larger, in my opinion.
Now, you save again says eBay should make their own channel and hold live streams daily so we can talk live.
No, they.
I think after the 5th, we'll get back to you, would cause them to lose people from watching the channel.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Terrible move on their
and
part.
If you don't believe me, take some really serious questions. A lot of the questions we've been asking in this live stream. And when you go to eBay Open next week, and when they have it open for you to ask questions, ask some of these difficult questions and see if you get anything more than a PR spin on it. Yeah. Or we'll get back to you kind of thing. Yeah. It amazes me. And this is one thing I was going to say, watching the live stream you had last week when you're asking people to put questions, what questions you'd ask eBay, right? Half of the questions were like, I'm scratching my head going, really? Is this the question you would ask eBay? I can't even give you an example, but if you watch, I think you saw a number of those questions and it's like, is that the question you really ask eBay right now?
There's a lot of emotional, angry, like, why are you killing my store? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? 100%. I totally agree. And that's probably why they can also never have a channel, because just imagine the hate and the anger that would be on, it would flood. It would just be like a steady stream of just flood, like a Rolodex flipping over super fast.
That's like, I think Noelle was saying earlier that these videos, like these chats are tame compared to the Facebook groups. Those people, they're unhinged, and they're ruthless. They will say the gnarliest things, and you're just like, holy Toledo.
And how does that benefit them, eBay, us, nobody? But that they're vocal. They're very vocal.
I can understand why they would tune out. It's pay attention.
Yeah.
Ernie said, so will John sign an NDA? I honestly, if it was ever offered, which it won't be, I would honestly take a really close look at what I would be signing. For one, the idea that I can't say what I really want to say when things happen. If that's ever included, like you cannot disparage, eBay.
You would ever sign one.
And the goal isn't to disparage eBay; it's just to give you an honest assessment of whatever I'm dealing with. And if it came down to that, I would not. Only if it was like, look, there's a few things that we are going to say. Yeah, we'll answer your questions. You could take that back to your audience, but there's a few things we're going to show you can't say anything about because we have competition out there, and I would understand that. Right. But if it means that, guys, you really got to start pivoting to this kind of thing now because what you've been doing is not working. And I'm allowed to say that, I would consider that. But it's a hypothetical that's never going to happen. Let me just put it that way. eBay,
my answer is where? Tell me where to sign.
Yeah.
Look, the whole purpose of this channel, it isn't about what can I learn about my business, because it isn't like, okay, for me, I'm doing well. I'm doing well with eBay. I'm doing fine. I don't want to see that come to an end. I really want to learn things that I can pass on to people to help them their business, because I'm not selling everything on the platform. So if I help someone increase their sales in, banana hammocks, then I don't know why I came up with that. Whatever they're selling.
That's a Freudian slip. Noelle, you've got something on it now.
Noelle!
Live it down.
But you know what I'm saying? If I'm helping somebody sell a product I'm not, then hey, I'm happy to help. So, we got to liven the show up. We got to make people laugh, right? So it wasn't really a slip. It was just a bad choice of words, but we got to
that was a bad analogy.
So, but I'm good at that.
But leave it to him. His mind goes to the gutter every time.
So. So Rocky Top Picker says, I have no concerns about sellers leaving the platform. I don't either. I mean, look, I want to help people make sales, but at the same time, this is a business. And if you're not serious about the highs and the lows and staying focused and doing the things other than listing that you have to do to be successful, then maybe this isn't cut out for you. Not everyone is made to be a reseller.
Right.
Some people need to have a boss. And I hate to say it, but some people will not get anything done unless they have someone breathing down their neck. Bottom line. And it, as much as 95% of people hate having that boss we can't stand, 50% of those people actually need that person to get them going. Right. Otherwise, they'll screw off and do this, do that, and they'll never focus on the things they have to do to be successful. And that's consistency. So anyway, we have Belinda says, I just got on. YouTube did not notify me that this was starting. I hit notifications and wasn't notified.
Oh, man. So what you should do is go in and turn it off and then turn it back on. And sometimes that reignites eBay or YouTube. Yeah.
And Jacqueline says, hi, everyone. I totally respect all of you. I've learned so much from you. I'm sorry I missed the beginning. Now, real quick, this gets me to think of another thing. eBay isn't cut out for everyone. And I think that's something that you really need to have a really focused conversation with yourself, talking about looking in the mirror, right? And is this something that you can do? Is something you can pull off? If the little intricacies are too much for you to do, if pivoting, we talk about pivoting, if I can't sell banana hammocks very well, right? Is there something else I can move to that's going to make this successful? Am I willing to go out and buy big stuff? Or am I willing to go out and buy these other things that's going to work? And if I'm not, if I'm just so stuck into selling this thing because I love it so much, then maybe this is not for you.
Then eBay may not be for you, but Etsy may be for you.
Maybe Facebook Marketplace is where you need to be, right?
Yeah, being a founder is about problem solving every single day. There's no one to help you out. It's all on your shoulders. And for people that are experiencing problems here on the platform, if you go to any small business owner across America and say, hey, are you experiencing any issues with your small business? They'll talk your ear off for 3 or 4 hours. So I think it's not just on eBay. This is what it is. Like moments of great and then struggle, fighting, changing, pivoting, problem solving. And it's not for everyone. If you don't like those things, then it's better to work for someone else.
Right. And
clock in, clock out, and that's it.
Exactly. And when I know we keep talking about when we worked in the corporate world, I ran my own department as a lead. Okay. And so we had to, I spent my entire shift problem solving, whether it was the passengers that we were trying to help. It was the employees who couldn't run the computer software. They would run into a glitch, and then I had to figure out a back way to fix it. I have spent my entire career fixing and trying to pivot to try to make things work, even in a large company.
Yes.
It's just the way the world turns. Nothing's going to be perfect ever.
Yeah. And people ask, well, what keeps you motivated? What keeps me motivated is remembering how I felt. Well, that too, but how I felt when I just was stressed to the max, when I had people breathing down my neck, deadlines to hit, things that, expectations that weren't realistic because the person with the expectations didn't understand the task. Okay. So it's these pressures that I would leave and come home feeling so stressed. Okay. I had hair. My hair was falling out in like patches. It's called areata alopecia. Okay. And that was a real thing caused by the stress that I had. I don't have those problems anymore. So if I need motivation, I think about, well, if I'm not doing this, that's the alternative. And I ain't going back to that. Okay.
Now your hair is just great.
Yeah, just great. But that's because of, my workforce. Love It Collectible says, side note question for J&J, is there a best day to do the sell similar protocol? Now, I think this is where we have a difference in opinions. I can tell you from my experience, I use it once a week on my main account, and I have enough lists. That's the thing. You got to have enough listings in your store to make that work. But on the day of the week that I do it, it's Thursday, usually Thursday afternoon, evening, because you usually get about a 24 to 48 hour boost and you get that little tag that says new listing next to your title. And I checked it last week when I did it. Didn't check it today because I had to get onto the live, but it was still operating in that same fashion for me. What do you think?
I briefly, oops. Am I still there?
You're still here?
Yeah, I briefly did it. I did end and sell similar. I think it was in May or June or something. I did it for a short period of time. I did not notice a discernible increase in sales, and I just moved on from it. So I don't do it, but I think for people that do it, that they should at least change some of the item specifics or change the photos, because with the new similarity engine, it appears as though it recognizes stale listings if they're relisted in the exact same format as before as still being stale. So some modification would give your listing a benefit, in my opinion.
Well, the only thing I do is I'll go in and I will, because for whatever reason, you list in the app, it likes to make its own return policy, like return policy, and then a big string of numbers behind it, right? And it'll actually try to default that. And so many times I'm listing and I don't even recognize it once in a while. So I will go in and make sure all my listings fall under the return policy that I intended. And that's the only change I make when I relaunch these listings. And it seems to work. I mean, today I didn't have a single sale until about 45 minutes after I did that. And then boom, $175 in sales.
Nice.
So I just think there's something to it. I guess we'll see how things work out. I'm going to continue to list. I think that's huge. It's just consistency. I think regardless if you do that or not is where it's really at. But,
and certainly not every business is going to do everything the same. And it's okay to have diversity between businesses. We all just do kind of what works for us. If it works,
Tommy says, just got back from a job fair at the Piggly Wiggly. eBay is done. Get your applications and start slinging turnips and toilet paper. I think if people don't make the tough changes within their business, none of this even matters. None of the eBay problems even matter. If and when, and I'm optimistic that it's a when thing, that they will get this site back to where it needs to be. When that happens, there's going to be people that are still going to struggle and blame it on eBay.
Sure. Okay. And there are lots of people that it affects their mood so much that they're like, you know what, eBay sucks. I hate it. They sit on the couch, watch college football all day and drink beer and get nothing done. And something is better than nothing. Even just listing something is better than nothing. You have to do something.
Yeah. And as Karen Abear says, been watching some negative eBay YouTubers and got unmotivated, but need to get my groove back and list. You know, it doesn't matter. You can't control what happens on eBay. We can talk about it so we understand that maybe doing X, Y, and Z isn't as productive right now as doing A, B, and C, right? Because right now the site doesn't support that. So if you're used to listing 50 to 100 items a day and for whatever reason it's killing your sell-through rate, maybe instead of selling those $10 trinkets, find a $30, $40 item that has demand and start focusing on that. But these are things you can control. And, you know, that may or may not be half of the people in this, you know, chat right now who are dealing with slow sales. It might be something as simple as that, but only you guys know. I like when someone asks me to do a store review, you know, they'll send me an email and I take 30 minutes to look at it. There's half of the intangibles I don't even know. I don't know how much you're promoting at. I don't know your account health. I don't know anything like that, but I can at least give you some advice. But even then, in many cases, it's a denial about what you're selling. And that thing or trinket or whatever, that 8-track tape of, you know, Kool and the Gang, is that going to sell? Yeah, it'll sell at some point
eventually,
but maybe not as hot as it did in 2020, you know, that type of thing.
Well, and just keep trying. That's also entrepreneurship. Just keep trying and failing until you find the thing that sticks, but you got to keep going.
Right. And the thing, not everything is absolute. Like, wow, I found the item. This is it. This is going to be my ticket to retirement, but it doesn't work that way. The market changes constantly.
Sure.
Folding Chair Johnson says, I was hesitant, cross-listing also just this month. I crossed to Mercari. So, but you're making an effort to get your items out in front of other people, and I think that is definitely a thing.
There's a different kind of audience on each one of these platforms. You know, there's people who know that Posh is, everybody thinks of clothing first, even though you can sell hard goods and stuff on there too. And even still, we don't put a hard goods on there either. You know, it's mainly just the shoes and any type of clothes that he might pick up at a yard sale that aren't worth a penny. But, you know, Mercari is our yard sale, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where it's the lowest that we'll go on an item, and just to get it gone.
Yeah.
You know, we've got some of these items that came in those liquidation pallets that for some reason are just hanging on, and the right buyer hasn't come across. Well, maybe that buyer isn't on eBay. Maybe they're on Mercari or Poshmark or Etsy, for all that, you know.
And what's the saying? In every tragedy, there's opportunity. And with the search visibility issues on eBay, I've probably purchased $10,000 to $20,000 worth of items on eBay that were severely mispriced. So there's opportunity there too.
Yeah.
Break and Profit only does eBay to Amazon arbitrage.
Yeah.
So, and he's doing $80,000 a month. So for sure there's opportunity, but you know, to build on your point, you got to be willing to try new things.
But I'm willing to bet that when he first started that, it wasn't comfortable. He had doubts about what he was doing, you know, that type
100%.
of thing.
Yes, for sure.
James Chapman says, I put 100 items on Mercari and all I got was likes. Only sold 3 items on there. It took forever to get paid. Yeah, that's a big difference between eBay and Mercari. You only get the funds in your account once the buyer says everything's okay with the transaction. They have 3 days to do that before it automatically defaults. Yeah. No One Design says 132 million active buyers worldwide on eBay. I only cater to 1.8% of them buyers. I do not have time to waste on inflation, economy, etc. The 1.8% I sell to have the funds to buy. That is my focus, right? Yep. And that is why there's a small percentage of people who will never be affected negatively by or affected in any way by a bad economy, because they have the money and the means to withstand it. And so if your clientele or if your buyers are within that, you know, that 1.8%, like you're talking about, then a lot of this is just going to really be meaningless to you. Any problems, they're going to find your items and they're going to buy from you. They're going to continue.
How much pain did No One Design have to go through to get to this point, though? He didn't just arrive there, or she.
Right.
You just don't land on the moon. You have to build the rocket and everything else. So there's a whole backstory there he can't or she can't explain in the comments section.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, you know, Tommy Bernard, he comes on here and tells us how great he's doing. And I 100% know for a fact that he's doing everything he's doing. But he didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, this guy, there's like 3 or 4 people that want to sell these items to me on a weekly basis. He had to get out there and network, meet people, negotiate, right? Because, you know, it doesn't do any good to have a niche and buying things from somebody if you ain't getting a good deal. Because if you're not getting a good deal, you're not going to make much money on eBay. That's where you win in this game. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that are behind the scenes that make someone, a reseller, successful. And unfortunately, when it comes to sourcing and things like that, you're not going to get a lot of YouTubers that are going to tell you, here's exactly, it's like the trade secret thing you're talking about, right? I think that is the trade secret. I've learned my lesson in talking about a source a couple of years ago that I was never able to use ever again after that. And so it's one of those things, you have to develop a good source of goods, and that's what makes this game. Everything falls into place once you actually find a way to get good stuff to sell at a good price. And I think that's the biggest challenge. I think it's a challenge you're dealing with lately, right?
I like the stuff that I'm getting, but if I do have to pivot, I mean, I do like the stuff. It does sell well. It's good profit. But if I do have to pivot, it's going to be a big pivot. A lot of the stuff that I've sold and the niches that I'm in, like this one collection that I purchased, it took me over a year to chase it down. It's very unique. You know, it's historically significant and everything else. So if I have to pivot out of that after 3 or 4 years of building it up to this point, and do the Amazon model or whatever, whatever I have to do, it's like starting brand new for me. I don't have any of those contacts in Canada where I live. There aren't any bin stores. It's very different than the United States. People in the US are very blessed with a lot of stuff that people throw away. In other countries, it doesn't exist to the same degree. So there are charity shops or thrift stores, but we don't have like flea markets, definitely not to the degree. People just having garage sales every weekend. It's not as common here. People selling stuff on the side of the road. I have the opportunity to go to both sides of the border, and those kind of opportunities exist much more in the United States than in other countries. So if I have to pivot, it's going to be a bit of work, but I'm willing to if I have to.
Right. Because at the end of the day,
the data to back it up.
But at the end of the day, and I know that you had said this on one of your lives, that, if it came down to selling this thing, whatever, like this thing, right? This electronic thing, then it's not, you're not really for that. But at the end of the day, this don't matter. It matters what you get deposited in your account every week from me. So if that means, look, I'm selling everything. I'm personally selling everything. Who wants to sell a toilet seat, right? I don't, but it
makes money.
Right.
Right.
And someone out there needs it. Someone out there is probably having surgery. They can't get to their toilet. They need to have something that they can, drop a dime. And if they need to, then I'm going to be here to help them with that. And as long as it's helping me pay my bills, then I don't care about what I'm selling. I had to learn that though, because I was so stuck in my ways of, nope, it can't be any bigger than, a certain size. Right. Otherwise, I'm going to pass up on it. And I think that's the wrong thing. Yeah, it got to the point where I was giving away stuff to Archie, who had then, on the way home with the stuff, had it sold for like 3 times the price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good with that because I didn't want this large stuff.
Yeah. Just move it along. Yeah.
We have Donkey Waffle says, I've reduced the size of my store 3 times in the last 3 months, from 1,000 down to 900, now at 800, slowly replacing crap items with good ones and selling some of the crap in the 90-day purge window.
Yes.
I mean, think of it as, look, if you're going to a swap meet, you have a certain size booth. Would you bring everything with you if it wouldn't fit? Would you just have stacks upon stacks of things that people are going to have to look through? I mean, I'm not saying that's happening on eBay, but if we downsize just to the best, you'd bring the best stuff, right? And I think that's kind of what eBay is, without saying it, because we're all guessing at this point.
We're all guessing, yeah. But it's working now. That is working now, high sell-through.
Right.
It will always work. It'll always work.
Yeah. We have Fart Sack Jack says, do you think top rated plus makes a difference in your sale? I'm top rated. I just don't like free returns, but don't have many returns, knock wood. I think it's a small component, just like everything we talk about. Good title, good having the proper item specifics, good account health. It's a small part of your account health. That's all it is. There's other components of account health. If you had 2 sellers, one at top rated plus, one at top rated, and everything else was identical price, listing quality, account health, then you would have a slight edge, provided you're doing the same promoted rate, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not as big of a deal as eBay. You're going to save 10% on your final value fees. I think that's the better reason to have it more than anything else. Let's see. Try to get to question before we start winding down here. New Day Dawning says, eBay has changed the way sold listings are viewed today. When you click a sold, it is showing you an alternative live listing instead, and you have to click a button to see the sold listing. Yes, when I'm doing a lot of sourcing, I want to look to see how they worded their item, right? They sold it. I want to click on that and just kind of learn if I'm about to buy this item, if, I can do the same thing with this. And it takes you to a different listing. You can't, in many cases, go to see what their item description said or what they had in the condition. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So it's definitely something that's changed recently. Hustle Magnet says the eBay search engine is definitely a problem. I literally find items through Google easily to get the info I need on the item. Then I go to eBay to list it since it refuses to act correctly.
Yes, that's been happening to me a lot, especially with the shoes that I just listed. I couldn't find them anywhere except for I had to do the Google picture, the image, and that's how I found them.
Yeah. And then Donkey Waffle says, one thing that is really freaking people out is the amount of 10 to 20-year eBay veteran sellers saying something is really wrong. I believe them more than eBay. Something is, if we're comparing 10 years ago to now, something is definitely wrong in that a lot of those sellers are trying to do the same thing. Now, if you're trying to do the same thing when eBay's telling you to pivot and you're not pivoting, well, of course you're going to get different results. So that's my take on it. Now, I'm not saying that those sellers don't have an idea. I mean, I've been selling since 2002 in some way, shape, or form. This account is like 16 years old that I'm working on. But I guess because I'm not selling in a niche, I don't see it as clearly as some of these other sellers who have sold in a niche for many, many years. And it's easier to see these patterns when you're doing that. How long have you been selling what you're selling?
I've been selling for full time since 2020. So I've been on the site because I've always been interested in coins and collecting coins and silver and precious metals. That's been my jam. So I've been on the site since 98, but I didn't go full time until 2020. So I'm with that whole group of people that started during the pandemic.
Okay. And then Becky says, as far as the search issue, I don't believe it's just eBay. The company I work for, unrelated to eBay, is also having issues for our customers who are searching parts online to purchase from us. But again, if eBay is making a change within the search algorithm, it isn't like they're going to snap a finger and everything's just going to fall into place. Because I just feel like this, I'm 100% sure in my mind that this is happening because as sellers, we are beta testers for any changes that are made. We are there to work out the kinks, and they're going, I'm confident they're going to work this out with search, but it's off of our backs that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what I think on that. Let's see. Tommy says, right now is the time to separate yourself from the sheep, double or triple down, go all in while they're in the fetal position crying. I guess I didn't see the rest of the conversation on that, but right now is going to determine, this next 4-month period will determine if
who's in and who's out.
That's right. And if you're going to continue doing the things that you struggled with during the summer, it's going to be a long Q4 if this is what eBay's wanting us to do. Now, if this is just, maybe it's going to be corrected here very soon and things will normalize, then, and I guess that's what you're kind of worried about, Josh, in that.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
Right.
If it's now all about sell-through rate and that's the metric that everybody has to abide by, there will be huge businesses that they cannot pivot. They have too much money in their inventory. They just can't. Auto parts, like this person mentioned, it just such huge businesses. When you go through the stores, thrifted books, all this stuff, they're all in big trouble if that's the case. So I don't see that being to eBay's benefit. And I'd like a little bit more time to before I decide. But certainly if this goes on for much longer, everyone is forced to do that because what other choice do you have?
Right.
You got to switch to high sell-through rate, as you mentioned earlier.
At what point do you make that determination that, okay, I need to stop doing these 100 listings today and start paring down my store? At what point do you have a plan? Do you
So
have an idea what that's going to be?
I'd want to see decelerating year-over-year growth. So if I'm doing 65% year-over-year growth, and I seem to be doing that every single month, I'm kind of stuck at that. If I start seeing it go down to 50, 40, 30, 20, then okay, something's got to change. Because if I'm growing year-over-year, 65% year-over-year growth, in 10 years, that's $30 million. So there's, I can't compare myself to anybody else. But if that starts decelerating, and the only reason why is because sales are declining because what I'm doing is not working, then that's the time for me to pivot, second store, only high sell-through rate, or make the decision as to whether or not I continue selling on the platform, or do I even really want to do this if I have to sell iPhone chargers and, that kind of stuff. That's kind of, and for me, that's going to be after, I really want to look hard after Q4. I want to see how Q4 shapes out for me.
But I ask you that not to put you on the spot, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have the same question in their mind.
Sure. Yeah.
When do I make the change? That type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And bigger stores than me that have been doing this a lot longer than me, and I can see their frustration, and nobody has answers, but those big stores also have a lot of input costs going into them, and they've struggled through the summer. They're kind of on their last legs, and it's like, what do they do now? So I'm sure eBay's got to be hearing from them as well. All this inventory. And then if it does fail, imagine all the inventory that's going to come to market as these businesses start failing because they can't sell online anymore, specifically on eBay.
A lot of opportunities. Sure. The Texas Bandit says, oh boy, I'd sell rubbers to nuns if the numbers are right.
So would we.
Farm Girl Scavenger Noel says, I sell in all the niches, makes times like these not so painful, but then I don't have issues with getting inventory either. I consider myself extremely lucky.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill and knowledge that you kind of pack away over the years, and then it keeps you from getting into trouble when you're buying stuff. I'm a real big believer in that. I just want to thank you. We're kind of at the end of the comments, but I just want to thank you for being here today. I certainly plan on talking with you many times.
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe we'll look into that whole idea that the viewer came up with. A lot of good conversation here, and we're 10 days away from Q4, and we have a plan in place. If you don't have one already, you're weeks behind. You need to get a plan because Q4 is right here. And if you don't have a plan, you're just going to, unfortunately, you're going to fail. And I hate to say that because that's what this channel is.
But we don't want to see you fail. No, we want to see you pivot.
It's about
and succeed.
It's about being just that tough love, like, guys, we want to see you succeed, but we realize that there's going to be a segment of the people even watching this program that are just going to say, I can't hack it, because at the end of the day, it's about making money. And if you're not making money, people got to figure something else out. Yeah. So Josh, is there anything that you want to say before we leave?
I just want to wish you both safe travels to Los Angeles this weekend. Take care, enjoy. And that's it. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes. And there's a link down below if you want to click on Josh's channel, subscribe, check out his lives. Even if you can't make the actual live stream, it's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. You can always check out the replays, and it's just a wealth of knowledge not only just from him, but others that frequent, and just bounce some thoughts and ideas. And you constantly have to be in the state of learning in this game. And learning from channels like this, Josh's, and others out there. Otherwise, you're kind of at a disadvantage. Remember, we're competing against other resellers, and the more information you can gain, the more of an edge you're going to get. But that's yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent weekend.
Have a great weekend,
and we will talk to you guys again on Monday.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.